Hey, Baruch Halevi, Rabbi B here from Soul Centered. Thank you for tuning in. I want to talk to you just briefly about a new podcast that I have coming out. It's a podcast. It's also a book that I'm working on, which is not ready yet, and it is a curriculum around meaning, purpose, resilience, and it's taken from two great traditions of which I've spent my lifetime studying, trying to live, teaching, and guiding other people in their lives, and that is logotherapy, meaning-centered psychotherapy, the work of Dr. Viktor Frankl, who I talk about all the time, personal hero of mine and the founder of logotherapy, and Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. And these two things go together like hand in glove. Not coincidentally, because Dr. Frankl, as a Jew and a proud Jew, unlike most of his contemporaries, certainly the founders of psychotherapy and psychiatry, Adler and Freud, the other schools of Viennese psychotherapy, and then later on, these were not people who were necessarily connected to or proud of their Judaism. Dr. Frankl was. Logotherapy is not Jewish. It's humanistic. It's for anybody. But he drew upon ancient traditions and practices, foundational principles coming from Judaism, specifically from Kabbalah. Kabbalah is not, you don't have to be Jewish to study Kabbalah. You don't have to be an observant Jew if you are Jewish to study Kabbalah. It's a worldview, a sophisticated spirituality. Sort of think of it as a thinking person's spirituality. And it has its time and place. In the mornings when I sit in meditation, I sit in mindfulness, Buddhist-oriented mindfulness meditation practice. But when I study ancient wisdom texts and think about Kabbalah sort of as the blueprints of the universe or the roadmap for the soul, I look at Kabbalah and just ancient wisdom for us in a modern context in our modern lives. And so really highlighting these principles and these values that are the foundation of logotherapy, bringing them together to help people, to help you in all of life's circumstances, but especially when we come to those circumstances that are just too much for us, overwhelming. I call them darkness, right? When the darkness descends into our life, Dr. Frankl would define it more as suffering. But when you're suffering, when you're in darkness, when you're lost, you don't know which way to go, you've never been here before, you need wisdom beyond yourself. You need techniques, strategies, tools to find your way forward. And so the Defiant Spirit is really the synthesis of best practice from each of these great places brought together in a methodical, step-by-step process for you to navigate any of what I call life's T's, transitions, tests, trials, traumas, tragedies, whatever you're going through. You can find meaning and purpose in the good times. I just don't get that many phone calls during the good times or when it's status quo. Usually when I get counseling phone calls, it's after the death of a loved one or somebody going through a divorce or somebody struggling in their profession and they don't find their calling or 10,000 other pain points, but that's oftentimes what we need as a catalyst for change, a pain point. We should be more proactive. We usually aren't. And when the pain point comes, when the darkness descends, right, then are we willing to face it, to embrace it, to go into it, to discover the sparks, as Kabbalah calls them, meaning, as Dr. Frankl calls it, within the darkness, to grab hold of them and to find those sparks and carry them forward as a source of light for ourselves and for others. And so that's what the Defiant Spirit is going to be all about. You'll get a much longer version of this introduction over there. I'll try and, every time I drop a new podcast, to throw over here a video to remind you, but you can sign up over at mysoulcenter.org. You can sign up on iTunes, on Spotify, and I think iHeartRadio, and Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get your response to the Defiant Spirit as it comes out, and would love to get to know you, to work with you. So shoot me an email. Baruch, Baruch at mysoulcenter.org. Until the next time, shalom, salam, namaste, and peace.